All right, everybody. Hi. Welcome to another intro to micro video. As you know, we are wrapping up our market structures chapters where we looked at perfect competition, monopolistic competition, and monopolies. We are not going to get to the chapter on oligopolies because I think it's just too much to cover, which isn't the end of the world, but we did miss out on one of my favorite slides, which is right here on my screen, you can see, and it compares the long run equilibrium for perfect competition, monopolistic competition, and monopoly. And I think that's really useful because it highlights the differences and similarities between the three. And so what I wanted to do in this short video was go ahead and show you that. So I'm going to recreate those graphs on the dry erase board, and hopefully that's a useful tool for you guys. Let me know, and we'll take a look. So, all right, so I think this is going to work out. Let's get started. All right, there we go. So we're going to start with the model we started with first, which was perfect competition. And so perfect competition is, remember, our ideal. And so let's label it up here. And that's going to be a situation where there are many firms, products are identical, and there's free entry and exit. So those are the conditions for perfect competition, right? Many firms, products are identical, and free entry and exit. In every one of these graphs, we're going to have our marginal cost curve. And that's going to give us our conditions for production, right? Because remember, our firms are going to produce where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost in every case. Now I'm going to have some average total cost curve, and average total cost is going to cross marginal cost at the point when average total costs are minimized. That's the efficient scale, and that's also where we want to be in terms of producing where firms are at their most efficient, where costs are minimized. And then remember that because of those perfect competition conditions, all firms are going to be price takers. They're just going to accept the price that's put on the market and not have the ability to change prices or anything like that, which means that marginal revenue is going to be equal to price. And so there's going to be no deadweight loss. Firms will produce at marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, equal to average total cost in equilibrium. So that's going to be our long run equilibrium. That would be great if I was left-handed. Cool. So far, so good. I guess I can move myself. All right. So that's perfect competition. The next, in between perfect competition and monopoly, is monopolistic competition. And that's going to occur in situations where there are lots of firms producing, but products are differentiated. And that product differentiation allows firms to act like a monopolist in the short run, but they still end up being competitive and having to compete with other firms in the long run. And so that makes it more competitive than a monopoly. So we're going to get our marginal cost curve in and our average total cost curve. Come on, homie. Oh, that did not work out. Okay. I guess I should have set up my home office a little bit differently. But in monopolistic competition, we are going to see that because they're able to differentiate products, they're going to see the market demand curve. I'm going to draw that in, let's see, brown. And And then their marginal revenue is going to be based on that downward sloping demand curve. And we didn't derive the marginal revenue for the monopolistically competitive firm like we did in Monopoly, but it's the same, right? We would just look at the price or the willingness to pay of the marginal consumer, and that would give us the marginal revenue at every level. So, oh, this video is awkward. All right. So, what we would see here is the firm is still going to produce at marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. So that's going to be our monopolistic competition equilibrium. That's where they're going to, in long run equilibrium, marginal revenue is going to be equal to marginal cost when the demand curve is tangent to average total cost. They're going to set price based on that demand curve. And so we're still going to see a markup over marginal cost, but they're not going to earn profits because every unit is going to cost them ATC, and every unit they're going to get paid P. So remember, the calculation for profit is total revenue minus total cost. And so here, total revenue is price times quantity, and total cost is average total cost times quantity. So there's no profits in monopolistic competition in the long run. In the short run, they can earn profits because in the short run, with that differentiation, that product differentiation, they can see their, they can act like a monopolist. They can set prices based on the demand curve, and they're going to they're going to have the opportunity to produce or to enjoy economic profits. In the long run, if they do enjoy economic profits, more firms are going to enter. It's not going to be the exact same good, but it's going to be a close substitute. And so some consumers are going to leave the market and say, oh, well, I don't want to buy a Chrysler. I want to buy a Ford, or I want to buy a Jeep or something like that. I want to buy a Kia. And so that's going to reduce the demand for this single good. Okay? And then the last form of competition that we talked about was the monopoly. And a monopoly is characterized by one firm producing the good and barriers to entry, which means that even though a monopolist is going to earn economic profit, there's not going to be any competition because no other firms can enter the marketplace. Okay, let's get this going. There we go. That's a little bit better. So I've got my marginal cost curve. And just like in monopolistic competition, the monopolist is going to perceive, they're going to see that downward sloping demand curve. They're going to see the downward sloping marginal revenue curve. And where their average total cost curve isn't so important, they're going to still produce at marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. That's the monopolist equilibrium. And they're going to set prices based on the demand curve. And let's pop average total cost in there. And then I'm going to be set. Let's say it's there. And so in this case, in the long run, the monopolist is going to be earning profits. It's going to be based on the difference between price and average total cost. And monopolies are the only time when we would expect someone in the market to be able to earn economic profits in the long run. Sound good? The other case we didn't talk about is oligopoly, and that's when a market only has a few firms in it. And basically, the takeaway for an oligopoly is whether they act like monopolists and set prices high, or act like monopolistic competition and compete and drive prices down, is going to depend on whether they work together or not. And there are a lot of reasons why firms may or may not work together. In the United States, it's illegal for firms to work together or collude with each other to set prices. So that's one reason. The other thing is there's an incentive to cheat, right? There's an incentive to say, hey, let's all keep our prices really, really high and make more money. And then as soon as you leave, I'm going to lower my prices and get way more consumers. So that's basically the whole idea of oligopoly. Take a look at the chapter if you're bored, if you have free time. Please feel free to ask me questions about it. Please feel free to ask me questions about this or anything else. All right. Thank you all so much, and I will see you next time. Wash your hands, stay safe, and stay sane.